What's up, everybody? Welcome to Investing in Cannabis. I'm your host, Brandon David. Welcome back to the new year, man. It's January. We are ready to go. We are fired up about it. You should check us out. You should watch all the old episodes. investingincannabis.tv. We're making a big mass roots push right now. Check us out over there. Instagram at CannabisPod, Twitter at CannabisPod. Okay, enough plugs. So we've talked many times on this show that there's really two ways to invest, right? You can touch the plant or you could not touch the plant. And there's a very clear line in the industry right now of who will invest in what. And one of the most obvious segments in the non-touching the plant is any kind of accessory, right? So we're talking about any kind of glassware, any kind of pipe, anything that helps you consume the cannabis, right? Along the same lines are grinders. And you might think to yourself, well, yeah, I have a grinder. Like, how are we going to make that any better? You know what I mean? It grinds up the weed, it collects my keef, it does what I need it to do. Well, you would be very wrong, my friend. We have a company on the show today called Grail Grinder. My friend Josh here. What's up, man? How are you?
Good to see you.
Thanks for being on.
Glad to be here.
So tell us, what's Grail Grinder?
So the Grail.
The Grail, excuse me.
It's okay.
Don't forget the.
It's like the you. So the Grail, spelled G-R-A-L-E. I essentially just combined two words, grinder and scale, to make it as easy as I possibly could for people to understand when they see it.
Got it.
So essentially, I came up with the idea when I was 19 years old, smoking a blunt in my parents' bathroom. Humble beginnings, as we all had at some point. I was fascinated with...
wait for the steam to turn on.
Exactly.
Right?
The shower's at the right temperature, the shampoo's placed and prepped and ready.
Yep.
Vapor coming up. Anyway, so I was always fascinated with how much it took me to get high and how much it cost me to get high. Mm-hmm. So essentially, I would start out with my buddies and we'd get the gram bag from our buddy, break it all up into a big blunt, everyone gets high as shit, great. Mm-hmm. I was really fascinated with how much do you really need to get to that elevated level that we're so desiring. So I took that gram bag, made it 0.8, twisted it up, everyone smoked it, everyone got just as baked, made it 0.6. And much to my friend's surprise, I would ask them, how much do you think we just consumed? They would say a gram, 0.9, 1.1. They would not believe me when I said that we had only smoked just over a half gram because everyone was as elevated as we had always desired and always gotten to. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of when the wheels started turning, so to speak, when, hey, like maybe this is kind of an idea. And I figured there has to be a grinder scale in the market. This is too simple, slap two things together, you got a grinder scale.
Somebody else had to have that idea,
Had to do it.
Yeah.
And sure enough, after an extensive Google search, which we know how scientific that is, nothing came up. So I then talked to a lawyer to see if I could protect this idea in some way and for him to do a legitimate search to see if there's anything out there. Mm-hmm. And there was nothing. So we kind of, when I was 19, we kind of started slowly with the wheels and, found an engineer. And, 6 years later, we're here now, and almost 7 years. And we've got the Grail, in the flesh.
Got it. So you're smoking a blunt with your friends and you have a stoner idea. That's pretty much what we're talking about.
Essentially.
Right. I've always had this one that I want my phone to also be a lighter. Or you know what I mean? The stupid idea.
Simple,
but what I love about this story is that you went and you did it. 7 years or not 7 years. Sure. We have here the Grail grinder. So let's just play with it a little bit.
No doubt. So essentially, it operates like a standard grinder. You got your top teeth, your bottom teeth. Yep. What you can do is click the on-off button to illuminate the scale.
Okay.
So it kind of operates like each of them would individually to start to make it as easy to use as possible. You put your,
Yeah, we got a little cannabis here.
We've got some Dutch Treat over here.
Dutch Treat.
Nothing but the finest. Appreciate it, courtesy of Investing in Cannabis. Appreciate it, guys.
Where's this from? Let's give a shout.
Yeah, give a shout.
Yeah. This is from the Apothecarium. Shout out Apothecarium.
Awesome. Appreciate it, guys.
And that was delivered through OnFleet because the Apothecarium is our customer. So
there you go.
Much appreciated, OnFleet and
keep it in the family for sure.
Yeah, keep it in the family.
So we've got a beautiful strain of cannabis here. Yep. You load it in as you normally would. You just apply the top teeth. And what's cool is that it'll bounce once, revert back to zero. And as I grind, I wish we could get a close-up here, it weighs simultaneously. And what's cool is that it literally is a single finger action here. Uh-huh. So, your medicating grandmothers and recreational users alike can use it with ease.
Yes.
So at this point...
So if you are consuming cannabis to alleviate your arthritis, you now no longer have the problem of grinding
you don't have
and
to
inflaming.
You don't have to get no elbow grease involved. This is as simple and smooth as a possible grinder could be. Like I said, frictionless motion.
Yep.
You give it the standard couple taps to make sure it's all down. Yep. So right now we've got, it says 1.3. So it's beautiful. So now at this point, you have the option to unscrew as you normally would to pinch the material out.
Yeah.
Or I've added what we call easy roll capability. So the side door opens up and we'll...
Easy roll capability.
Correct.
Okay.
So we'll keep it clean here.
Yeah.
But you can simply just pour it directly out. Just like that.
Very nice. Very nice. Or, of course, you could just reach in there.
You could reach in as well. Now, if someone
as
wanted
you-
to be even more accurate, they could open up the large door right here
Okay.
and extract the whole, I call it the reservoir tray.
Okay.
So you can take the whole reservoir tray out, and if you want to pour into a PAX vaporizer, a water pipe, for example,
Yeah.
simple tap motion, we've made the spout almost the perfect size for all those applications.
Okay.
So we try to make it...
You really thought through this.
I try, 7 years, I had to think of everything, man.
Got
I
it.
mean, or,
Got it.
I don't want to say everything, almost everything.
Almost everything,
Because there's
yeah.
always something to improve upon.
Yeah.
But essentially, I really tried to take the grinder and the scale, as two separate processes and just streamline them. There's no reason why we can't go without unscrewing, pinching, losing some on the way. Not to mention the whole weighing aspect, because I want to know, like I said, how much I'm consuming. This is a psychoactive substance, and I compare it to alcohol in the sense that, unless I'm having a really bad day, and I don't really have days like this ever, I'm not swigging from the bottle.
Yeah.
You've got a shot glass, a pint glass, a glass of, a wine glass, to understand how much you're going to get inebriated.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun product, but it has serious ramifications, right? I mean, if
Definitely.
you truly do consume cannabis for medicinal purposes, the dosage that you consume is incredibly important, right? It really
I think
is.
that's the missing link in this whole equation or whole picture that's being painted. Like there's so much good work being done on the legislative side and on the social side to really make cannabis, to put it on the forefront as it should be as we're into the election season and just moving forward. But I think, something that the naysayers may say is that this is not a legitimate medicine in that sense. You can get a recommendation, not a prescription, a recommendation.
Yep.
And literally have carte blanche at this dispensary to get almost as much as you'd like.
Right.
You can get 1 pound, 2 pounds a month depending on where you are.
Yep.
And as we all know, unless you're Snoop Dogg hanging with the crew in the studio, that's going to be a lot of
don't need a
cannabis for
pound,
one
yeah.
individual user.
Yeah,
So at this point, I hope, or the future I see for this product's implementation is that let's open up the doors to the responsible medical use. Not that people aren't using it responsibly currently necessarily, but let's quantify this data. Let's understand so that we can get the insurance companies involved, because one of the reasons they're not currently is that obviously federally there's a lot of reasons why they're not, but there's no way they can really make money off it right now because there's no standard application. If I've got a sinus infection, I go to the doctor, I get my 500 milligrams of penicillin, and I know how much to take, how many times to take that, and I know that I will feel or my symptoms will be alleviated as a result of that.
Yeah, and if you, just anecdotally, if you talk to people that have had a negative experience with cannabis, it's almost always that they had too much.
Couldn't agree more.
100% of the time.
Couldn't agree more.
I talk to people that have limited experience and I say, okay, well, tell me the story. And they say, well, I was with my cousin and he rolled a huge blunt and I hit it 6 times and I thought I was going to lose my mind.
Right, all of a sudden a freight train hit them in the face,
Right.
and
yeah,
all of a sudden they're high.
Exactly, yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
But it's the same thing, right? If you are 17 years old and you never drinking alcohol before, not that we condone that, and,
never done that.
and you drink a whole fifth of vodka,
You're not going to feel too good.
you're not going to feel very good,
No.
right? And just as you alluded to, the shot glass is that unit of measurement.
Exactly.
And we need the same here.
Exactly.
And that's what we've created. So tell me a little bit about this process. So 7 years in the making.
Sure.
After you have that first idea, when do you first sort of start to put things in motion?
So essentially, like you said, back in 2009, and it was kind of an interesting, dance, I'll call it, to get it to, a prototyping phase and the patent phase. First and foremost, I was still living under my parents' roof. And at that point, the cannabis landscape was very different than it is now.
Yep.
The laws have changed a great deal, thankfully, in the last 6-7 years.
Yep.
So when I first kind of was, had this, I'll call it a half-baked idea in my bathroom, it was tough to kind of, pitch my parents on hey, I'm going to build this cannabis product and
right.
don't worry about it, it's going to be great.
And did your parents know you were smoking cannabis at the time?
At this point, they did.
They did, okay.
They did. I started becoming, I'll say a habitual user when I was 18 years old.
Yep.
For a multitude of reasons, obviously. But I really just preferred it over drinking.
Yeah.
My buddies
Yeah.
would catch a buzz drinking beer, and I'd be on the corner hanging out and
Yeah.
smoking a little blunt, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. But you went to them, you pitched this to your parents.
I did. I did a whole PowerPoint presentation. I did this as legit as I could. My dad, he's been known to consume from time to time. My mother,
okay.
not so much.
Yeah, okay.
So, it was definitely, and both of them had to kind of take a leap to really understand it, though. Honestly, my dad's smoking corncob pipes, and it's not really,
Right.
it's old school. He does it the way he learned how to do it. And like I said, my mother was never really into that culture, so it was an interesting bridge to gap.
Well, and someone that buys a grinder to begin with has a certain level of usage normally, and then someone in addition that would want to measure how much they're grinding. You've got to be a fairly serious user, right?
Yeah, and I think the word serious is interesting because I think they definitely have to be a serious user, and I think serious in terms of the responsibility that they take with their consumption, not necessarily like serious as in a heavy, heavy stoner. Like I think that, like you said, I think we should all be serious users in the sense that we should all understand how much we're consuming. If nothing else, monetarily. I mean,
definitely monetarily. If you're telling me that blunt that you rolled, I can save, I don't know, $5 or $6 on that blunt because
100%, depending on how much it is, for sure.
Depending on how much it is,
100%.
That's real value. Right?
So like me, I unfortunately still enjoy Dutch Masters. That's just my kind of go-to smokable of choice. And
spoken like an East Coaster.
Yeah, I try to keep it under the wraps as best I can, but my bias does come out sometimes. I smoke 0.2. I smoke a quarter gram blunt at night, and that's my. Depending on the strength, I've got a good Gorilla Glue now back at home, so it's a little stronger than the sour diesel I had, but. That quarter gram gets me almost exactly to that level of inebriation that I so desire.
Yeah, but don't you find that the wrap is a little heavy? Like you're also smoking tobacco, right?
So I was looking for a Dutch to bring here. Obviously, I wanted to do like a little tutorial.
Here,
every once in a while here. I take a normal big Dutch mash, like the big gar, and I cut it in half actually, and I get 2 blunts out of the same cigar. So essentially, the cannabis to paper ratio is
much higher,
more heavily in the cannabis favor. But to your point, 100%. Like I'm trying to. That's my New Year's revolution. We'll say is trying to wean myself off blunts here.
Yeah, you got to get into the vape stuff, right?
Yes. After seeing your last episode with Sabo, I got to get on that vape exhale, man.
Oh, it's incredible. It's incredible. Luxury experience.
Seriously. Something to look forward to.
Yeah. But if you have a Vape XL or you're interested in one, you also need the luxury grinder here, right? I mean, I haven't seen anything quite like it. Is there another grinder scale in the world?
So there is not one that's integrated
okay.
when it comes to cannabis. So there was a current patent when we applied for it that was for a food processor that actually weighed and then ground the material.
I see.
So
for like coffee?
For coffee or any kind of vegetable material, honestly. So our kind of whole angle when the patent office came back and said, okay, now re-explain why yours is different than this patent, we said, well, our reverse is opposite. Right. So we grind it and weigh.
Right.
So that was kind of our, I'm not going to say loophole, but that was our entry into the intellectual property space. Our distinction.
I also find that the more commercial scales that are for food and things, they're not granular enough.
No,
right?
Exactly.
So like you can't weigh 0.2.
No.
It basically starts at a
0.2
gram.
ounces maybe.
Right. Yeah, sure.
So I totally agree. So that's why we made sure that this measures to the 100th of a gram. So it's essentially as accurate as just about any scale you'll buy in any kind of smoker head shop.
Yeah.
It's the only one of its kind. There's a current grinder scale that's just 2 separate units that come into a fake soda can.
Okay.
To make it, I guess, stealthy.
Right. But they're not really integrated.
No, it's not integrated at all. And that's why I use mine every single day.
Yeah.
And the first Grail I ever sold was at the Cannabis Cup in Michigan earlier this year, or last summer, I should say now. And I texted the person who bought it just to check in, see how they're doing. I was obviously anxious as the inventor to see how it was in its application. He goes, "Thank you so much. I now know that 0.35 grams is my perfect dose."
Wow, yeah.
And that's a medical marijuana patient out of northern Michigan.
Wow.
So not to say that this has changed his life, but
no, but it's a tool. It's a tool. Yeah, exactly.
This is an apparatus that can really better someone's medical application.
Yeah. So tell me about the manufacturing of it. I mean, hardware is hard. Right, traditionally. And tell me, why is it so hard? I mean, this is clearly a new category of device, right?
Sure. So I can only speak, this is my first kind of foray into the manufacturing world, so I kind of was learning as I go.
Yeah.
The real issues that we faced was really trying to pack so much so many of these processes into one unit. So it's kind of a tight space in this 2.75-inch diameter to fit the scale, the two pouring chambers, the reservoir tray, the keef catcher. We really did our best to make it as economical as we could, and that was the biggest issue.
Oh yeah, where was the keef catcher? So
you pop open the large door to access the reservoir tray.
Got it, reservoir tray.
And then you notice the line which lines up, and you can simply unscrew.
Got it.
And what's cool is that if you wanted to replace a screen, which is kind of the new fad with grinders, you can buy a brand new one of these right on our website, which screws right back on top. Super easy.
And are these parts, were any of them developed, or you had to start sort of from scratch?
None of these were OEM. Yeah, these were all kind of one-off parts.
That's
these are all one-off parts. That's why it was so important. I'd say to anyone that's looking to create a product out there, find the right engineer. And not just the right one, it's someone that you need to be able to translate your thoughts to, because I don't have an engineering background. So it was really tough for me to find not only someone who's ever seen a grinder before that's an engineer, but to really convey all this kind of crazy stuff that I wanted to smash into this one product.
Yeah.
He told me, my buddy Anthony, who was my engineer, told me along the way, like, essentially you're kind of crazy for trying to fit all this stuff into this one unit. Like it's just, the thresholds are very small. But thankfully, with the fortitude between me and him and our perseverance, we were able to get a product to the market that I'm proud of. It functions exactly the way that it's advertised, and I would not put it on the shelves otherwise. We stand by our product completely.
So take me through the economics a little bit. What's your cost here, and then what do you sell it for?
So our cost is between it's in the low $20 range. Our wholesale price is right around $45 to $50, depending on the volume. And we found that typically, these smoke shops, head shops, dispensers like to get their keystone markup, meaning, just twice markup. Yeah. So, they then flip it around for $90. Yeah. And we've had no resistance at all. I mean, essentially, when people ask me my competitors, I reference the Santa Cruz Shredders, the Space Cases, the Compton Grinders. I'm an owner of those products. They're all great products. I'll be the first to tell you. Yep. However, for that same price point, because all those aforementioned grinders are $85 to $100, you get what you pay for. But essentially, for the same price point at a $90 retail price,
you're also getting a scale.
You get a scale plus the 2 pour spouts as well.
Right.
Which is something that seems to be the most kind of eye-catching. People are definitely kind of wowed or kind of interested or more intrigued with the grinder scale portion. But when they see you can pour it just directly out, they just kind of get excited for whatever reason. It's just something that's an additional unique feature that there's been 1 or 2 grinders that have kind of showcased that feature, but they've kind of drifted away as time has gone.
And so at the wholesale market, we're talking about dispensaries mainly, or head shops.
So right now, being in a non-medical marijuana recognized state, it's interesting when I go in to pitch my product at these smoke shops, because I can't reference cannabis, I can't reference marijuana or anything of the like. You'll literally get kicked out of the shop for all you people that have been in.
I've experienced that before. Yeah, it's very strange.
It's strange. You say the B word, and all of a sudden, you're out.
It's a water pipe.
Oh man, I went to school at Indiana University for my first year, and I said bong and they would not. They said 24 hours. I had to wait to come back in. Now I don't know if they just made that up.
Who made that rule?
No idea. But I was banned for the first and only place I've ever been banned. Thankfully, it was only 24 hours.
Wow.
But yeah, it's just really an interesting pitch when I go to these states that just aren't really kind of caught up yet.
Yeah. Sure. So $45 to the wholesaler. What's the breakdown in percentage between what you sell direct versus wholesale?
Direct to consumer?
Yeah, exactly.
So right now it's about 10% online sales direct to consumer, about 90% in the head shop. We're really trying to flip that now at this point, mainly because there is definitely an educational piece when it comes to the Grail. People aren't going into head shops and asking for the Grail by name, not yet at least.
Right, yeah.
So it's a matter of, if we can control the content, whether it's on our Instagram at the Grail, Grale, or on our website, bluntventures.com, we control all of the media that gets out on that, and we control all the information. I don't, controlling the media sounds not the right word. We control the information.
Content, yeah.
Content, thank you. So we control that content, so we can really tailor it and really be the most efficient and effective in the educational piece when we are, producing that content ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, it's a demonstration type product, right? I mean,
definitely.
That's really
and
the
there's
way
only, I can't, I'm very confident in my pitch, but there's only, it's tough to convey a product when you're not passionate about it and it's not your baby in that sense too. So it's tough to find people that share that same passion.
I mean, not only does their education piece, but the economics are far better if you're selling it direct to consumer, right?
Definitely, no question.
I mean, I see that as the big growth here, right? Because I think you're going to continue to come up against the big players in the grinder space when you go into head shops and dispensaries, right?
Definitely.
But what's sort of the strategy going forward? I mean, how do you increase that?
So we've really gone hard on social media in the last kind of 2 to 3 weeks. This is all we're kind of learning as we go here, to be perfectly frank. So our social media, Instagram has been the most influential, I'd say, in terms of feedback from users and just active user base. Mass Roots has been awesome as well, and we've worked very closely with the guys at Mass Roots. They're awesome guys, and I know you guys are going to start working with them as well.
No, we've had a bunch of calls with Mass Roots. Isaac will be on the show before too long, whenever scheduling gets done.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, great guys, and that's another great portal, because you talk about a target market. I mean, that's as targeted as any market could be. Is like, everyone's consuming cannabis on that portal.
Especially for a product like this.
Definitely.
Right? I mean, this is like...
for sure.
Yeah. Very cool, man. This is... I love to hear your sort of entrepreneurial spirit here,
Thank
right?
you.
Because you had a vision, and your vision is here. Your vision is here, and it does 100% work. I don't know that it's for absolutely everyone, but I think you've found a niche here that's really, really compelling. Just back to the growth stuff for a second here. Like, how is it in terms of advertising? So a lot of the social networks are very anti-cannabis, right? Facebook and Twitter and Google AdWords, et cetera. It's very difficult. But technically, you don't sell a cannabis product, right?
And that's kind of the beauty of this whole thing here in that sense, is that by having utility patent, in a sense, Uncle Sam has kind of given me a seal of approval in that sense. At least in my vision, in my view of the situation. So you do have to be careful the way you market it, certainly. And the fact that I still am in a non-legal state, is definitely even more reason to kind of tread lightly. I'm moving to Denver in less than a month, actually. So all my operations will be moved, thankfully, to a legally recognized state. I'm very excited.
And why Denver?
Denver, having been there 4 times in the last handful of months for mostly Grail-related stuff, for trade shows and other friends that are there, it seems to kind of be the epicenter of that really recreational movement. Obviously, there's a heavy medical marijuana movement there, but the fact that they were, them and Washington were kind of the canaries, if you will, to kind of blaze that trail. No pun intended. I'm really kind of proud to be a part of that community. Honestly, being they were there first, and they were the ones, like I said, really paving the way in the fully legal, fully recreational market. Because that's what I see this. I see this obviously as a medical avenue for the serious medical patients, as you mentioned, but I see it in an even bigger opportunity in the rec side, because like you mentioned earlier, if you talk to people who have little experience with cannabis, a lot of times the people who have had negative experience just have too much, and they just don't know whether it's an edible or smokable.
And then they don't ever want to try again.
Exactly.
Right?
So we're deterring a future client, essentially, or a future consumer, not because it's unsafe or any of the reasons that some of the politicians want to say. They just had too much to start. Like I did the first time I consumed alcohol. I haven't had Jack Daniel's since then. It's still got that weird flavor in my mouth.
Is that your drink? Everybody has a drink they can't drink.
Yeah,
right?
Jack is that drink. Yeah.
A lot of people with tequila.
Yeah. See, I love tequila. That's why I'm like so ass backwards when it comes to that.
I also love Jack though. So anyways.
To each their own. But when it comes to that recreational market, it's like, I really see this as, I see that 18 or 21 and older responsible adult coming to this marketplace, obviously in the 4 states currently, plus DC and more to come. But I don't want a barrier to entry being them not knowing how much to consume. I think it's really important that if someone wants to try cannabis as a responsible adult, good for you, as you should, I think, being a plant that's been used for thousands of years now in multiple cultures. But now you've got an apparatus to really help you understand and to really give you that sense of ease that, okay, you're not going to have too much. Like, you're going to start with 0.05 grams. You're going to wait 5 minutes and go from there. Because when you do that, even if 0.05 is a little too much, maybe they're a little uneasy, they're not going to have that, that red alert experience that they're never going to want to try it again. At least in my mind,
No, I think it's very important. Hopefully, enough people realize that and take the time to dose adequately. Let's talk about the future for a minute here. You must have plans for what the next the Grail grinder will look like.
Definitely.
Tell us about it a little bit.
So yeah, without giving you too many
Yeah,
details, we are near a new deal with a design and manufacturing firm out of New York, which I'm super excited about. These guys are incredible. So now linked up with this expert team of professional designers and professional sourcing and logistics, that allows me, like, while I'm very happy with the product we came up with, I can kind of give them this product and say, okay, let's make this Lexus into a Ferrari, because there's always something to improve.
Yep.
We're going to be upgrading the material. We're going to be changing the teeth design slightly because as we progress in technology, as with grinders and pipes and vaporizers, there are more efficient ways to do it as we go along.
Yep.
So we're going to be tweaking as we go to really make this the most efficient grinder on the market.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not trying to make any bold claims, but I know that the team that we put together, there's no reason why we can't do that.
Yep.
It's just a matter of us, doing the proper testing.
And what kind of capital do you think it's going to take to get you there?
To be honest, when it comes to revamping the Grail, it's tough to put an exact dollar amount on it, honestly. And that's kind of the beauty of these new partners, and that's why it's so important to find the right partners to kind of fill your gaps, because I'm comfortable selling it. I'm comfortable marketing this product. I'm not an expert manufacturer, so these guys can take this process and not only make it a better product, but more efficiently produced as well. So when you make something more efficiently and you've got pricing power with hundreds of thousands of other products that they already produce, all of a sudden our quality goes up and our cost goes down.
Do you have a concept for how much you could get that cost down?
Yeah, I think reasonably we can get it down, up to 20% without changing the volume drastically.
Got it.
Because we're a pretty low volume play right now.
Yeah.
I mean, this is simply, I'm not going to say proving the concept. I think we've done a good job at doing that, but we're in that infant stage of sales right now, of growth. So we're really looking to find every avenue possible to
You
make
told me you've sold like 800 or so?
We've sold 850
but only
so far.
since October, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we've had and almost zero marketing dollars as well. So other than social media, there's been no magazine ads or no, other than being at trade shows and me just kind of hawking people.
Right.
It's like, hey, can I introduce you to the Grail? And the guy's like, what the hell's a Grail?
Right,
and he comes over. So all of a sudden I got 30 seconds to give him my shtick.
And have you checked out like any Google AdWords or anything like that? Like, grinder scale. Like, is that getting a lot of traffic? Or?
To be honest, that's the avenue we're looking down right now.
Yeah,
so I've got an old buddy from high school who works in the digital ad world.
Yeah.
And he is now being, not tasked, he's nice enough to help us out to kind of look into it and to really kind of lay aid. Because like I said, the whole digital marketing thing, like I don't mean to sound like a grandpa, but I'm just not that up with it, honestly.
It's not you,
No, like I can do the social media, but when it comes to AdWords and really anything beyond that social media platform, it's kind of beyond me. Like I'm literally.
Oh, hey, it's a technical skill, man. It really
is. Yeah. And that's something that I think it's important to know what you're good at and know what you're not.
Yeah.
So it's something that anyone can learn that, I guess. It's just it's deprivation of time.
Yeah. Well, something to certainly consider when you go out raising money is to find an investor that has that expertise, right? I feel like I'm on Shark Tank right now, but has that
Mr.
expertise,
Wonderful
right? Yeah, Mr. Wonderful. That has that expertise, right? Then it can supply you with someone that maybe has that digital ad. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it sounds like you got that friend. That's good stuff.
Yeah, hopefully.
That's good stuff.
So I mean, it's the kind of thing we're being so young and in such a new space that we're just trying to leave no stone unturned. We're just trying to throw as much as we can at the wall and see what sticks.
Yep.
And that's kind of the beauty of this kind of startup phase that we're in, is that we can see what works and what doesn't.
Yep.
And if it doesn't, you drop it and you go on to the next thing.
Got it.
Just a matter of being kind of athletic in that sense and kind of rolling with the punches.
You got to fail fast.
Oh, man.
That's really
well, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
I always heard people, whether it's in athletics or business, saying, until they hit that kind of pivot point or that failure where they're kind of look at themselves in the mirror and say, do I still have enough in the tank? I mean, there's truth to that. Yeah. But again, like you said, it's just a matter of fail quickly.
Yeah.
And how quickly do you get up?
Totally. So you're raising money currently, or you have enough for today? What's your runway look like? So
right now we're looking pretty good. Thankfully, our biggest cost right now is manufacturing. Mm-hmm. So the fact that we've got these new partners coming in, hopefully, a lot of those costs will be mitigated, by that partnership. Mm-hmm. So it won't be a necessarily cash for equity deal. It'll be more of a barter deal in that sense, that they'll be taking care of X, Y, and Z while I can really focus on, A and B, the marketing and sales. Yeah. So it's not so much of a cash deal that we're looking for. It's really kind of what kind of value can you provide us, and let's find a way to make it work.
Totally.
You know?
Good stuff. Well, when you do start raising money, please come back and talk to us.
Can't wait.
We've gotten kind of good at helping people do that. So, yeah. So we've come to my absolute favorite part of the show, where we talk about sort of your personal cannabis use. We've talked about it a little bit already. I know you like blunts, you like Dutch Masters, right? You and Jadakiss. I think that's it in the world.
New Yorker.
New Yorker, yeah. But what kind of strains do you like? Are you indica guy? Are you sativa guy?
So really, again, not being in a legal state, my hands are kind of tied sometimes.
Yep.
But in an ideal world,
you're moving to Denver, man.
Yes. So in an ideal world, next month, in the very not so distant future, Sour Diesel is my favorite strain. By far. Forget the New York aspect that I'm from New York. I mean, it's something about you can just recognize that funk anywhere.
Is Sour Diesel a New York strain? Is that
New York? Yeah, I believe it's got its roots in New York City. I believe. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, no.
Sorry.
Well, that's part of the problem. Nobody really knows either, right?
I guess. Yes.
I mean, there's probably 50,000 different strains of Sour Diesel all around the country, right?
Exactly.
So
now, I'm pretty sure the guy who created the strain initially lives in Denver now. I thought it was from New York. But
You've done your research. What's your favorite?
It's friend of a friend of a friend. It's all this small net. It's such a small world.
Well, if you let me know, if you find out, let me know.
Definitely.
Very curious.
We'll do a follow up on that.
Got it. So Sour Diesel and blunts. Pretty exclusively. You said at night you're rocking a blunt, but at nighttime you smoke a sativa blunt. Is that
so? Let me. Yeah. So my favorite strain overall, Sour Diesel. Like I said, there's something about that unique flavor and smell that just resonates with me. Okay. At night, definitely heavy indica. I mean, I love that pre-98 Bubba Kush. Heavy CBD. That really kind of, even just a dab of that pre-98 Bubba. I'm not a huge dabber, but when I can get my hands on some concentrate.
Yeah, I'm super on the fence about the concentrates, right? Because,
in terms of dabbing, you're saying?
Yeah, in terms of dabbing. I'll smoke a vape pen or something like that, oil. But the actual dab is really intense, man. It feels like a different substance to me.
Yeah, so to that point, I really don't do it often.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the act of smoking something.
Yeah.
But dabbing feels more hardcore.
It is.
When you get the torch out, if you don't have an e-nail, because I don't have an e-nail.
The torch.
I'm not going to make any direct insinuations, but the torch is just not a good look.
No.
And my dad visited me one time, a couple months ago, and I'm like, Dad, you should try this dab. And I brought he goes, what the hell are we doing? I kind of agree though. Dabbing is cool, and there's a time and a place for everything, honestly. Sure. But it's not my cup of tea personally.
Sure. Good stuff, man. I don't know where else better to leave it there. You want to plug some stuff? BluntVentures.com, right?
Yeah, so you can find the Grail at BluntVentures.com. It's $79.99 plus shipping, flat rate $10 shipping. We ship internationally as well. We've got 7 colors to choose from. We've got the green, the gold, the black, the silver, the red, the blue.
We could show some.
And pink as well. We're just really excited to be here. Thank you so much for letting us come on and kind of.
Thanks for coming, man. Great to meet you.
It
was
a
lot of fun. Hopefully
pleasure.
you had a good time. And thank you guys for watching. Check us out. I mean, just everywhere content is consumed. So investingincannabis.tv, that's our website. But also Twitter, Instagram, Mass Roots. We're making that big push on Mass Roots. Isaac, I hope you're watching this right now. And I'll see you in a month or so. Thanks again for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.